Okay, before we get started, I'd just like to state that although these components and procedures have worked well for me and my Spencer for hundreds of rounds, only you can determine whether the content of this video would be safe and appropriate for your particular application. The firearm we're reloading for in this video is an original, well-worn M1865 Spencer. Since you're watching this video, I'm assuming that you've swapped out the rimfire cartridge block and cartridge follower with the centerfire block and follower. For components, I'm using Winchester large rifle primers, Starline 5650 brass. For powder, I'm using 3F Jim Shockey's Gold, which is just another form of American Pioneer powder, and for the remainder of this video I'll refer to it as APP. And for a bullet, I'm shooting a hand cast, half lead, half wheel weight bullet from a Repine mold 520-375. Just make sure you choose a flat nose design for safety's sake in the tubular magazine of the Spencer. For reloading dies, I'm using some Lyman 5070 government dies. They were modified by my good friend Mel. Shortened them, reamed them out, made a larger expander plug, made these really nice knurled brass locking nuts on there, and he really did a nice job on them. They work really well, and they're just a pleasure to use. I originally started reloading with the old balloon head 5070 Remington cases, but they were actually quite a bit of work because you needed to shorten them, ream them out on the inside, and then you needed to thin the leading edge of the rim to make them work properly. And then with the arrival of these nice Starline cases, all that is in the past now, and they load well, they extract well. I've got the blade type extractor, and this is really the way to go. The new Starline cases, you're going to have to expand maybe 5 thousandths over to accept the 520 bullet, but after the initial firings they'll become fire formed and form a nice straight case like this. The RCBS shell holder number 31 works great with the Starline 5650 cases press. I'm just using standard Winchester large rifle primers. Okay, charge the cases with powder. Okay, so now we've got our cases charged with powder. I'm using 35 grains of 3F APP, and that charge is kind of dictated by the capacity of your case and the bullet that you're using. So when I seat the bullet, I'll get just a slight compression on the powder. I realize that you can use over the powder wads, and you can use a drop tube, and you can use a tissue paper between the primer and the powder, but and that's fine if you're doing target shooting with a target rifle. But the old 150-year-old Spencer is definitely not a target rifle and without target sight. So just for the sake of ease of loading, I eliminate those steps, and I haven't actually seen any benefit from doing those, because I've tried those. So these 19th century firearms all seem to be individual, so you really need to slug your bore. Mine mic'd out at 518, so I'm using a Repine 520-375 mold, which casts a 520 bullet, which I shoot as cast. Okay, so this bullet weighs in at about 355 grains. For bullet lubricant, I just tumble lube with Lee Liquid A-Locks, and I put a pretty good crimp on it just so the bullet stays put in the magazine tube and the Blakely's cartridge box. My overall cartridge length is 1.60. Just a quick note about APP before we go out and shoot these. I started using American Pioneer powder when my local dealers wouldn't stock black powder due to storage restrictions, and Actually, I found it works fairly well. It's a little more expensive, but everything cleans up with just plain water. Drop your cases in water after you fire them. You get home, rinse them in plain water, and you'll be good to go. Wipe your bore of all oils before you shoot, and then occasionally mop it with just a damp patch with just plain water, and that'll keep things running along smoothly. And then if you use a powder throw, you want to kind of clean it up a little bit when you're done to keep it from becoming sticky from using APP. And okay, well, let's go out and go shooting. Okay, that was 25 yards. We're going to move this back to 50 yards. I put a higher contrast target on there because I'm having a hard time seeing that one back at 50 yards. But we'll see how this goes. As you can see, we're definitely getting MOBC, minute of beer can accuracy, out of the old girl. After you rinse them with water, just dump them out in the sun, let them dry off, and reload them again. Well, you see that she cycles as well as you can expect out of a 150-year-old firearm. Just plain water cleanup, no specialized black powder reloading equipment, and acceptable accuracy. So that's all I need in a good load.